Tonight, Donald Trump continues to dominate in the polls as he now gets ready for the first Republican debate.
I've never debated before. That's all these guys do. They debate. They don't do anything, but they debate.
The great one, Mark Levin, will weigh in on Donald Trump and how do we save America from the plunder and deceit of Washington. And Vice President Joe Biden is reportedly mulling another run at the White House. How worried should Hillary Clinton be? Ed Henry and Brett Baer are here tonight with reaction.
There are better candidates out there.
And New Hampshire voters tell our own Frank Luntz how they really feel about the presidential candidates. Hannity starts right here, right now. Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, Donald Trump continues to dominate the 2016 GOP presidential field. In a brand new national Fox News poll released just earlier this evening, Trump is leading the pack with 26%. Here to explain his campaign, Carl Cameron. That's a pretty big number, Carl. What's going on?
It's a record breaker, Sean. Yeah, it's a record breaker. And there's been a lot of movement in our poll since the last one we had a month ago. Donald Trump leading with 26%. That's huge, and no candidate's gotten that high to this point. Jeb Bush runs second and is now the only other candidate in double digits at 15. Scott Walker slipped from double digits to 9% since June. Ben Carson's running fourth with 7%. Ted Cruz has 6%. But wait, we have to switch a page here. He's tied with Mike Huckabee, who is also at 6%. Then comes Marco Rubio and Rand Paul, tied at 5%. Chris Christie and John Kasich are both at 3%. Kasich's campaign is less than 3 weeks old, and he has actually moved into the middle of the 17-candidate pack. Christie's been hovering around 3% in the Fox poll for a couple of months. Trump has now scored higher than any other Republican in the Fox poll this year. Though about a third of Republicans also say that they're not, and they're never going to vote for Trump. Trump in the last few days has been trying to actually tone it down a little bit, even downplaying debate expectations, saying he's never done it and will be facing political pros. In the case of Jeb Bush, he's been holding steady in the mid-teens for a while now, and his campaign and the super PAC that supports him independently have raised more money than any other candidate. And then there's Scott Walker, fallen out of the teens into the single digits, but the Wisconsin governor has been battling Bush for a long time, and he is also leading the polls in the leadoff caucus state of Iowa. And because of all these ties, Sean, this is pretty interesting. 17 candidates, all under 25%, 26%. There's lots of races within the race because there's so many of them tied.
Well, what about the rest of the field, Carl?
Well, the rest of the field, the remaining 7 candidates, are all essentially virtually tied in a dead heat, since they're within the poll's margin of error and they have less support than the actual total of the margin of error. Carly Fiorina and Rick Santorum are tied at 2%. Rick Perry and Bobby Jindal are tied at 1%. And George Pataki, Lindsey Graham, and Jim Gilmore are all scoring less than 1. Today, Christie was actually urging everybody to just calm down, saying, look, the election isn't going to be for 7 months. But they are all scrambling like crazy ahead of the Fox debate Thursday. Those who make the top 10 in an average of recent polls will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern, and those in the other 7, whoever they may be, will be debating at 5, Sean.
All right, campaign Carl Cameron, thank you, sir. Joining me now with reaction from the Weekly Standard, Fox News contributor Stephen Hayes, Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson Jr., and Fox News contributor Michelle Fields. Good to see you all. Donald Trump tried to downplay a little expectations today, and he was on Fox and Friends. Oh, I'm not used to this debate thing. Here's what he said.
I've never debated before. That's all these guys do. They debate. They don't do anything, but they debate every night. They go in a debate with somebody. You know, I haven't done that, but I think I'll do fine, and I look forward to it, actually.
What do you? It was a good downplaying of expectations?
I think he's going to do great. I think he should go in there, be himself, talk like how he's been talking. People like that he sounds genuine, that he speaks from the heart, that he's not giving talking points. But also, he needs policy proposals. He needs more substance. So I think if he does that, he's going to be fine. He's a star.
Staggering, unprecedented numbers that we're seeing, 26% out of 17 candidates. And it shows you how smart he is. He's making the point right there that the politicians are saying blah, 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 blah.
It's true.
And he's saying, I don't debate, I get results. And people want to hear that in this atmosphere today. Very smart.
He actually,
very smart.
Stephen Hayes, he actually did something interesting. He put this up on Facebook because, you know, we're soliciting questions from Facebook and Twitter for the debate. He put up his own question for the other candidates.
I'd like to ask all of the candidates that as politicians and really non-negotiators, people that don't negotiate jobs and lots of other things, how are you going to make America great again?
What do you think of that? Do you think that'll make the cut, Stephen?
I'm skeptical. He probably needs a little more specifics on that. Look, I think the challenge for Donald Trump is it's not going to be enough necessarily for him to be himself and do the kind of things that have gotten him to this striking number in this poll, and to lay out a series of detailed policy proposals. That's not who Donald Trump is. That's not who he's been. I'd be surprised if he tries to be that in the debate on Thursday, although I think it would be smart for him to do it.
Well, I think both you and Michelle agree on that. I agree on that. I think the American people, more than anything else, they want to know that they're going to elect somebody that's going to solve our problems, get people back to work, off of food stamps and out of poverty, and show that America is strong once again. Let me go to some of the comments Donald has made about other GOP presidential candidates and ask you whether or not we expect to see this on Thursday. Watch this.
They don't even like him. They're from South Carolina. He's from South Carolina. They don't even like him.
Marco Rubio.
I think he's an overrated guy. I think that I have much better hair than he does.
Rick Perry, he did a lousy job on the border when he was governor of Texas. What a horrible job he did. Worse than him, though, is Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush is a disaster in so many different ways.
Carly Fiorina.
Again, I don't know. I never met her, and she looks very nice, but she got fired viciously at Hewlett-Packard. I don't mean like a little bit. You know, business is my game.
Would Trump, Peter, be wise to stay away from that during the debate?
Well, you know, unless he's insulted. But Trump's got to be who he is. It's kind of like Popeye. I am what I am. If it takes spinach, then that's what it takes. That's what Americans are looking for. They're looking for some meat and potatoes. And the minute he starts sounding like a Weasley, whiny politician with half answers, that's when he starts to lose support. He's come an incredibly long way. You know, a lot of folks were calling him a clown at the beginning. They doubted whether he would get into the race now. Now, I think who's calling who names?
It is interesting. Stephen, I'll go to you. You're pretty much a Trump critic. I thought that my friend Mary Matlin had good advice, that other Republicans can learn from him, that they can speak their mind, that they don't have to be so guarded in their own way, and that they would benefit from their outspokenness.
Yep.
Is there a lesson to be learned from Trump here?
Yeah, I think there is. Look, I mean, I think that's been true before Donald Trump. Republicans would do much better to actually just say what they believe and make their arguments the best they can without worrying about polls and focus groups. But I think Donald Trump is not going to do well if he's asked, if he just hurls insults at the other candidates. It might channel a certain level of frustration among the Republican base. Again, a frustration that I share, but it's not going to be enough. I mean, if you call Jeb Bush a disaster, you have to explain why Jeb Bush is a disaster. If you go after Ted Cruz or Scott Walker, you have to actually explain why he's going after Scott Walker.
And I agree, and I think Steve understands that he's a serious guy. He's a seriously successful guy, and I always disclosed I represented him in the past. I'm not involved with this campaign. But to say that he's not a serious guy based on his record of success.
And he's not just attacking. I mean, he's gone after Jeb Bush for Common Core. So it's not just he's just attacking him and saying he's a loser. I think what people like about him is Donald Trump is willing to talk about issues that a lot of the Republicans don't want to, like immigration. He's forcing everyone to have this conversation. And they like him because so many Republicans, all they say is they stick to their talking points. I love America. I love Ronald Reagan. They don't talk from the heart. And people feel like Donald does.
But on two big issues, Republicans said they would repeal and replace Obamacare. They never did it. They never used the power of the purse. They said they'd stop executive amnesty. They never did it. So conservatives like myself, I feel betrayed. They say the right things. They never follow through.
And big media, big politics, big business, their heads are exploding that smaller-minded Americans, the small, average, little Americans, regular people that are watching the Fox News channel and other channels are getting an opportunity to be heard, and that really disturbs him.
And they also like that Trump doesn't have to ask anyone for money. I think he ought to bring that up in the debate. He should say everyone on this stage is taking money and begging billionaires for money except me. I think Americans like that he's not kissing up to a bunch of rich people.
It's going to be one heck of a ride on Thursday night, I'll tell you that.
Quite a debate.
All right, guys, good to see you all. Thank you. Stephen, thank you. And coming up, in studio, rare appearance, the great one, Mark Levin, will be here to share his thoughts on the upcoming Republican debate, Donald Trump's rise in the polls. Then Uncle Joe Biden, crazy Uncle Joe, is reportedly considering joining the 2016 presidential race, and it is apparently making Hillary very nervous. Ed Henry, Brett Baer, they'll be here to debate that with all the details. And you don't want to miss Frank Lunt's focus group. That's straight ahead.